Is the Houston Texans at Jacksonville Jaguars the worst sporting event in the history of mankind? What up? What up? Trust the Prophets. We're going week 15. We got a special celebrity guest, Mike Nash. What up, dude? I'll give you a little background, but how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, man?
Just good. Pleasure to have you on. This guy is renowned around the country in some circles, known as one of the best cappers on the planet, depending on who you talk to. Yeah. And I say that in spite of that Yankees hat, but we'll get into that another time. So,
the Yankees hat just goes with the outfit, man.
Okay. All right. If it's about the style, I get it. Although the Detroit D would work just as well, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, that would mean it'd be worse.
Ooh. See? I don't know who you are. But what we're gonna do today, we're gonna hit on week 15. We got a few best bets, got our top 5 best bets from our side.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna let Michael Nash comment on that a little bit, and then we're gonna jump into a key Super Bowl matchup that could be possible, and also check out. We're gonna do a little highlight on the NFC West standings, which has gotten super interesting at this point in the season. Let's jump right in. I'm gonna actually pull up one of the most uninteresting games in the history. I mentioned the Houston at Jacksonville. This game is almost as bad.
Yeah.
The 3-10 Jets at the Miami Dolphins, 6-7. And are the Dolphins, how are they 6-7? It seems like they're more like a 2-12 team right now. What's your opinion on the Fish and Jets game here?
Look. Some days Tua comes out and acts as if he is a great first round pick quarterback. Other days he comes out and shows, wow, is he the most injury prone person we've ever seen in life?
Does it affect your opinion on him that he can't, like, when he throws, it's like Tim Tebow. It looks like he's shooting a basketball instead of throwing a football. I mean, it is about the ugliest game I've ever seen. Although he does get it done, brother. He does.
Well, the thing about Tim Tebow was he was Brock Lesnar throwing the football. You know, the thing about Tua, he's a small man. Sometimes you look at Drew Brees. He was a small guy. A lot of people said he couldn't push it down the field. But you look at, most yards ever thrown, one of the greatest quarterbacks, I mean, statistically, that we've ever seen. Definitely. But he's a small man. You look at Tua, he's a small man, and he got to put some umph in it to get it there. But when he plays well, it's undeniable. He's playing very
a shot. He looks like he's throwing a shot put out there, but you're right. He's getting it done. I mean, it's ugly, but they're 6-7, which is kind of a respectable record for how bad I think that team really is. So with that said, 2 of my top 5 picks this week for the Profits recommendations, top 5, happen to be both in this game, which is the only reason to watch this game is if you put money on it. Because it's a terrible game, terrible product. And I'm going to tell you right now, we got the Jets plus 8.5 you got 2 terrible teams. I like 8.5 points against the Fish here. I mean, the Jets are terrible. I think your guy, Zach Wilson's stepping up a little bit, as bad as he started, as hot as his mom is, that whole thing. I don't see the Fish covering 8.5 here, man.
It's a big spread. I'm one of those guys. That's it. It's the NFL. No matter what, big spreads I don't really like. But the Jets are awful. They're fucking awful.
It's 2 bad clubs. And with that said, the second bet we got here is this is sitting at 42.5 on the over-under. Under, please. Because I don't think either of these teams has a shot to hang up 43. I mean, if it was 33, we'd talk about it.
Yeah.
42.5. I mean, and obviously the public agrees because it opened at 44.5. It's already down to 42.5. And I think it should be closer to 30, honestly. Hammer
this could easily be a 13-6 game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
easily.
You got 2 of the worst offenses. I mean, and you got young quarterbacks, both teams. I don't know. I don't see them getting 43.5, 42.5, whatever it is.
No.
My bet of the week is actually the under on this game. Hammer it. Put your whole bankroll up. Sell your kids. Whatever you got to do.
I would agree. It's impossible. I think that if you look at, previous weeks is going to determine what we see. And what we see is that these guys get lucky a lot. And luck isn't what we're talking about right now. We're talking about seriousness. Hey, man, these guys, this game, again, could be it could be 20 points. It could be 20 points.
I'm serious. Yeah. I think it's just as likely to be, like you said, 13-7, 13-6, whatever you said, something like that, just as likely as to go over 43.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
So next bet I have, we're showing it up here now. Bengals at Broncos. Both clubs are 7-6. Both clubs are, in the playoff hunt, right in the mix. I don't know what to make of the Broncos. I think the Bengals are young and good, but maybe not quite there yet, inconsistent. But the Broncos, I have no idea who they are. With that said, I like the Bengals getting the points here, even though it's only 1.5. I think this might be a real close game. I think Burrow and Mixon and that whole team is getting it together. I think Burrow's the next great quarterback. Where do you see this game?
I think
Culkin Jr. Go ahead.
I think the Broncos just came off of a trying week. We definitely want to say rest in peace to Demaryius Thomas. Very young, but as you said, I like Burrow a lot, even though that injury was gruesome. I believe that he really is a fighter. The other part about this is that both of these teams, I don't know if they have an identity that is a staple. So with it being such a small spread, I think that the Bengals can cover just because I don't think the Broncos defense is that good. The Broncos defense killed the Lions, but what is that? At half, it was a 7-point game. At the half, with the hapless small hands Jared Goff, it was a 7-point game. And then in the second half, it went into something different. But the Bengals have shown, Jamar Chase, he's one of the elite receivers this year. If we want to be honest, they said he couldn't catch.
The ceiling for him is outrageous. He's a monster.
In the preseason, he couldn't catch a cold. He couldn't catch a cold.
That's a dangerous combination right there with what they got going on there. And you got Mixon too.
I love Mixon. He had a trouble shot.
Besides, he's a monster though. Man, he runs hard. Love Mixon.
Lions could have had him. Didn't want to take the chance on him. Now he's over there putting up numbers.
Yeah, he's
Mixon,
a monster.
Burrow,
Cincinnati,
Chase.
That's those three right there. That's the type of core to build around, and they're doing it. They're 7-6 with a super young team.
Yeah,
they cover here.
Yeah.
Moving along, we're gonna do a couple quick ones here. We're not staying on for 2 hours like we had last time. It's too much.
Even if we did, it would be great. Even if we did, it would be great. Just know I'm here now.
M. Nash, the guy's a legend. By the way, if you want, we'll get an M. Nash to sign some autographs, send it to your kids. We know that's a high demand piece right now.
It's NFT. Nash FT.
So here we go. Look at this game here. We got the Patriots and Colts. This is a mystery to me. The over-under opened at 43.5. Obvious the public has betted up to 46, so the public is just hammering the over, and I recommend to do the same. I don't see how this game stays under. That's two of the best offenses. You got your boy I'll refrain from calling him Special Needs Jones, but I mean, these guys, that team is playing right now. They're 9-4. The Colts, even with Carson Wentz, that team's, they're scoring.
Yeah.
Taylor's a monster. They're scoring. Yeah. I don't care who wins or loses this game. The over looks like a lock, dude. So it's at 46 now. It's been bet up. It was at 45.5 when I wrote my notes here. That's how quick it's going up. If you can get it in now, dude, I would hammer the over. There's no chance that this is a 50-pointer right here. What's your opinion on that thing?
Do you know where the game's at? I can't, just looking at this, I can't.
It's in a dome, Indy. It's at Indy.
If it's in Indy, you got to think. Last week We ran the ball 50 times in a row. Three passes. I think at this point, and Bill Belichick said it the best. How are they supposed to know our past plays if we haven't showed it to them last week? Because every week is a new game plan, and I just truly believe this one thing, that we don't plan for a season. We plan per game. And if you look at the Colts, you look at Carson Wentz, you look at the deficiencies that he has, 2 ankles sprained, it's a bunch of different things. And if we get to 20 points, if we get to 30 points, they at least have to get to 20 points. If we get to 35, they got to score at least one time. So yeah, the 40 makes sense, because we're not just running the ball 50 times again. We're gonna have, pass plays. We've seen that Mac Jones has that capability to be able to connect with our receivers. So yeah, I can agree with that.
And the thing is, like with Jones, and I know I'll be first in line to stand up and admit, never saw them being 9-4 right now. It's amazing to me, but they're doing it, and they're in great position to go all the way to deep into the playoff run. Yeah. I don't know what's happening. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Last game I want to touch on is also, and we're talking, just the fact that there's about 5 or 6 teams in this league right now that are just terrible. As bad as it gets, dude. Look at this matchup. And we're not doing it on purpose. This is mathematically the games that make the most sense to us to bet.
Yeah.
Texans at Jacksonville. Nobody cares.
No.
There's not a person on the planet that can say with a straight face that they care who wins this game. In fact, they probably want to lose it, because the fans of these teams are hoping for the first draft pick, battling with the Lions fans.
Texas and Florida have no idea that this game is even going on.
No, they didn't. They turned it off. They shut it down in week 4 when they realized they both sucked. So here we go again. Over under. It's a week of over unders, and most of the unders. 43 it opens at, and when I took these notes, and I'm talking just a few hours ago, it was 40.5. It's dropped another full point to 39.5, which tells you the public is hammering the under.
Yeah.
These two teams cannot score 40.
No.
They just can't. Who is even the Texans quarterback at this point? It changes every 3 snaps.
I have no idea.
Trevor Lawrence isn't ready yet. He's ready to look like Fabio, but he ain't ready for the NFL.
He's like the doppelganger of Gardner Minshew. They should have kept Minshew if they was gonna have Trevor Lawrence at this point.
Same guy,
just worse mustache, or no mustache. And then for the Texans, what we looking at? Tyrod Taylor. Let me tell you, if Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback to show up, I don't know. I don't know.
Tyrod Taylor has had like 3 good games in 10 years. It seems like he's been around for 100 years, and he looks like he's got the physical ability, but he has crapped the bed about 40 too many times to be trusted at all. And that's why the Texans are 2-11 against a 2-11 Jacksonville. And again, we're hammering the under here, 39.5. Get it in quick, because that thing's going to drop to like 37.
It might be 9-3. You want to, again, we're talking about reality. That game, right. We might not see certain people get across the 50 after a while, because.
Or do they even want to?
No, because the Lions are in pole position to get that number 1 pick. If you really want to fight to get the number 1 pick, you got to lose. And this is a must-lose game for somebody that's feeling that type of way. Urban Meyer is going through enough as it is. He may want to win, as to where the Texans is looking like, hey, man, I don't want to win this game. We got to get Tyrod or whoever out of here. We need, even though, it's no really good prospects of quarterback in the draft, maybe just getting somebody that's a fresh face, that's one of those guys that we maybe can build around. Let's do that. We don't want to score.
No, please. Yeah, we want to lose. We want to improve this team for the future. Just like the Lions, those 3 teams are in an epic battle. It's a Hogan versus Andre the Giant in the early 90s reset of how bad these teams are fighting for this thing, and they're all terrible. So with that said, 3 out of our top 5 picks of the week were involved the Houston and Jacksonville game and the Jets and Dolphins. That's the 2 worst games in the history of all sports.
Yeah.
All sports.
Yeah.
And that includes human cockfighting. That includes everything. So next up, we got 2 more topics. M. Nash wanted to talk about 2 things, and I said, what do you want to talk about? He brought up 2 subjects. I thought they were both brilliant, so we're going to do them. First off, the possibility of the slow adult Mac Jones and Tom Brady facing up against each other in the Super Bowl. The GOAT, Tom Brady, who is undeniably the GOAT at this point, versus a rookie and his old foe coach now, Belichick. Is this a legit possibility at this point that this could be the Super Bowl? You got a 9-4 New England team. Tampa, I don't even have it in front of me what the record is, but obviously they're in position to do this. Do you see this as a legit possibility or a probability?
Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, if you look at, I didn't bring this up to say, hey, it's a far-fetched, ideology that maybe they could meet in a dance. It's more of a probability that they could meet in a dance, because if, right now the Patriots are number 1 in the AFC. So with that being stated, as we talk about, as it's constituted right now, even though we still got a couple of weeks left in the season, we would have home field advantage. So we get to bye, and then everybody got to come to Foxborough. We know what Foxborough is.
We're saying we're calling the Patriots we at this point.
Well, come on now.
This guy.
I don't have I rest my allegiances with people that I've always rested them with. So that's a thing.
Hey, I give it to you.
But it's not a bias. It's more so that if they sucked like last year, man, we're not going nowhere. We're going home.
Yeah, it's a different team with Mac. The old Mac, man, he's shocking the world, and it's not just him. I mean, you got some serious defensive linemen happening there. You got a lot of things happening, a lot of turnovers. The team's doing work.
Judon, want to give a huge shout out to Judon, because him coming from Baltimore and bringing that Raven spirit, that's something that's huge.
We got a monster.
Yeah, we got a monster. We got a great cornerback. That's second in interceptions in the entire NFL after Trayvon Diggs. We have that ilk of a Belichick defense, and then with Mac being, call him a game manager, call him whatever you want to, getting the job done is getting the job done. I think
the Mac being a quarterback that didn't have like super high expectations has given him the freedom to kind of play loose, and he's played loose and he's gotten it done, man. He's impressive. Definitely. Never saw them at 9-4 in position to make a run here, but you're right. I do disagree with one point though, and you might be surprised here. I think that there's no doubt that this is a possible Super Bowl matchup, but I think that the most likely scenario that it doesn't happen involves my guy, number 9, that played last night for the Rams, Matty Stafford. And I know he's got a checkered past. He's statistically one of the best quarterbacks in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
he's got the heart of a lion. Guy's got thrown, he's got stomped and killed. But listen to me, he's gotten stomped and killed on the field 3,000 times, which any lion quarterback does. Yeah. And he usually gets up with 15 casts on his arms and still plays. He's a tough dude. He's got a good heart, and he's obviously he's got a cannon. Dude throws it 100 yards in the air. That's the most likely scenario where your matchup here doesn't work for me. In fact, I'm saying that New England's more likely to make the Super Bowl than Tampa, and I'm going against Brady, which I know is unpopular, and I can't even believe I'm saying that myself, but only because, things can't go this perfectly for Brady every year, can they?
I mean, yeah, they can. That's why
they kind of have
there so many times. But honestly, to what you said, look, and I think recency bias, and I know that you don't have any. You do this every week, so this is something that you've been watching, and football fans watch to see But if you look before last night, 0-3, he had a terrible November.
Terrible.
You know, he looked horrible. He looked horrible.
They started 6-0, 7-0, and then had a bad month.
They went crazy, and then Robert Woods goes down, and
Woods was a bigger loss than people want to admit.
They do, because they think that they look at the Robert Woods from Buffalo. Robert Woods in Buffalo is nothing like the Robert Woods for the Rams and Sean McVay. Sean McVay used him in a way that Robert Woods became a top 10, top 15, maybe top 12 receiver in this league, if you want to be totally honest, because what he brought to the table in that offense was very, very dynamic. Now, the thing about Matt Stafford is, and this is always what I'm going to boil it down to, is we've seen the meltdowns. We've seen those meltdowns time and time again. Now, we look at the Cardinals yesterday. Today's Tuesday, so on Monday. You look at those and you say, man, Kyler also has been one of those guys that's been great. When it came to November, it got shaky. And we thought that
Kyler is out of this world talented and capable, and I think he will get a Super Bowl.
He'll break through, but it's just,
I don't know if he's there yet. And I think that last night on a big stage, when home field advantage is on the line and these things everything's coming to fruition right now, Stafford looked awesome. And Stafford's battle tested, dude. And he has lost a lot of games for the worst franchise in sports, the Lions. But but dude, this is a different team. And I think that month of bad play that he had in November is going to actually work in their favor, because it showed them that when it was too easy, that 6-0, 7-0 start they got off to, and I think it's going to work for them. And I think, that I'm not saying that they're likely to beat Brady, but I'm saying that that's probably the most likely scenario, because I don't think Kyler is there yet, although Kyler will be there, but not yet.
If they have to go to Raymond James, bro, I can see them getting beat by 50. That's the reality. If they have to go to Raymond James and see Bruce Arians, see Tom Brady is not letting Matthew Stafford beat him.
God, it would be great if he did, though.
It would. That would be a great story. But normally, great stories have an Achilles ending. You think that he's finally coming to slay the beast, and then you just shoot him where you thought it was least expected. And that's been a Matt Stafford career, where you look at the Cowboys.
All the talent in the world. He's got, he's had games where he looks like a world beater. He looks better than Brady at times. And I mean, but and Kyler does too. But when push comes to shove, he has not gotten it done, and you can blame that on the franchise or whatever else. But
and then you look at a guy like Mac Jones. You look at a guy like Mac Jones, and you see that same stoutness, where you put him in a situation where you think that he may not, he doesn't have the ability to live up to this pressure. And he just walks through it like he's invincible and says, hey, man, I'm just Mac Jones.
And that's a commodity that you can't see in like the combine and all that. And that's the difference. When a guy like Brady, who's a ridiculously bad athlete in the combine, we've been through this 1,000 times. This leads into the next story, which you wanted to bring up, and I think it's a good story to talk about. The NFC West, probably the most interesting division in football.
Exactly.
Look at this. You got we can not talk about Russell Wilson and the abortion clinic that has become the Seattle Seahawks this year. They're 5-8. They're out.
Yeah.
The Niners are scary, I think. I don't think they're not going to do any playoff damage here, but they can make it, and they're the type of team that can beat a better team on a given day, because Garoppolo's another guy that mysteriously looks like Christ on the cross one day and does everything right. He just wins, blah, blah, blah. And then other days he looks terrible. This is a team. They're 7-6. They're very much in the thick of it in the wild card.
Yep.
And that's the third team in this division out of 4. Yeah. So obviously Arizona and LA Rams, and I'm going to go this far, and this is going to be unpopular. I think they're the 2 best teams in the NFL. I said that last night before that game started. I think those are the 2, maybe not the 2 best teams in the NFL, but the 2 highest ceiling teams in the NFL. How's that?
I think that they're the most talented teams. I think that's the word. The the adjective that should be put is talented. Because if you look at an Arizona team and you look at the Kyler Murrays of the world, who we could see potentially being an MVP of this league, a Super Bowl MVP. You look at DeAndre Hopkins, who is arguably the top 1 or 2 best receivers in this league. You know,
and then you throw Stafford in with, you know, Robert Woods, who got hurt, but then you bring in OBJ.
Yeah. And I was gonna get to them right after. I was gonna say, you know, the Chandler Jones of Arizona. You look at that, but then you go to the Rams, and then, like you already said, you know, they made a quick switch from a Robert Woods to a OBJ. You look at Cooper Kupp, who is going bananas, who is leading the league. He's almost got the triple crown. If he keeps going where he's going, he'll have the triple crown of receiving this year. If you look at, and then you look at a Matt Stafford, who, as we've all said, arm talent, second to none. You know, it's Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, it's Aaron Rodgers, it's Matt Stafford, you know, and they battled a long time in the North Division. But I just look at both of them, and they both have flaws when it comes to crunch time. And that's where the game is won. The game is won in crunch time when your back is against the wall and you know, they got you by the short hairs. Can you make the throw? Can you make the run? Can you get the extra 2 yards to change the game? I don't know if either one of those teams have that ability just yet, whereas other teams where Aaron Rodgers, if he comes in and he's playing you, you know, say in the NFC in a divisional round, and he's just able to get that extra yard or get that extra effort from an Aaron Jones or that extra effort from a Lazard or something like that, where they win the game.
Yeah, and Rodgers has always been dangerous, and that just like Favre, his predecessor. I mean, it's like doesn't necessarily be the best player on the field, although Rodgers has been at times, but they just get it done. And I think this is the year that you might see that breakthrough for either Stafford, maybe Murray.
For sure.
Stafford never had a team like this around him, so maybe he steps up, maybe he surprises the world. I hope he does. I don't think he will. If you put a gun to my head, make me put money on it, I don't think he will. I think it's a Brady world right now. We're all just living in it. But
yeah. And that's the other part. You know, I don't – you want to talk about them facing Brady. That's why I said it's like you got to go to Raymond James. Even though, you know, perfect skies, it may be whatever, but you got to go against Brady.
Yeah. And or even Rodgers on a lesser level. Rodgers, and I say lesser level, meaning that Rodgers is easily the second best quarterback of the generation behind, at this point, who's still playing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great young talent, but they're not on Rodgers level yet. And I hate Rodgers, so I hate even put him on that pedestal. But
what you got to go to Lambeau? You got to go to Lambeau and play in that?
Yeah, how's that going to work out?
Nobody wants to do that.
Nope. So, yeah, man, I think it's an interesting division. I really do think that Arizona and the Rams, you said it real well there, the most talented teams in the league for sure. Tampa Bay, obviously, you got the Brady and Gronk show. You got all that and everything that comes along with that. You got a few other good teams. Green Bay's in the mix. I don't know. I kind of hesitate to even talk about like Baltimore. There's some other good teams, but I think those 4 teams we talked about are the cream of the crop. New England.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I mean, Tennessee, if you know, you bring up the Titans if they still had Henry, you know, even though, again, another guy that's a game manager that doesn't necessarily know how to get the job done, Tannehill. You know, you look at it's a bunch of guys that can get you to a certain place, but that's where it stops. It doesn't go past that. And even with Lamar, we talked about Baltimore. Lamar has to develop, even though he won the MVP, he has to develop another part of his game to get over the hump.
He hasn't.
And we got to see it. Until you see it, it's not real. It's just like, you're great.
You're just another Matt Stafford, or you're just another Kyler.
Yep.
And Stafford's running out of excuses because he's almost 30 years old at this point. So that's the one thing Kyler and even Lamar's got on him. They're
young.
They're still in their young, not even necessarily in their prime yet. But anyway, M. Nash, a Detroit legend. This guy's out here sweating bullets, making money for the kids. Last time I saw him in person, we were up in Detroit. He was throwing $100 bills out to little kids. It was nice to see. It was a good time. I was proud of him. He's spreading the wealth out. Thanks for coming on, my man. We'll do it again soon.
Yes, sir.
Peace on earth.